Coming up today, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sacks some members of the regime's top military commission. There's speculation the dismissals could be linked to the recent landmine attack at the inter-Korean border. A last-minute row over the transparency of funds for intelligence-related activities could lead to the cancellation of a planned full session of the National Assembly. Plus, the U.S. economy grew more than everyone thought in the second quarter on the back of robust domestic spending and rising exports. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Friday, the 28th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this afternoon, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly removed a number of officials from the regime's top military commission in a move that could be linked to Pyongyang's recent landmine attack on the south. Kim has also commented on the recent inter-Korean agreement. He says it should pave the way for improved bilateral ties. Connie Kim reports.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has dismissed a number of his military officials and reshuffled his military aides. The Korea Central News Agency reported Friday that the firing of his party officials occurred at an expanded meeting of the Central Military Commission of the North's ruling Workers' Party of Korea. It did not disclose the reasons for the dismissals, but it has prompted speculation that it may be related to the August 4th landmine explosion that injured 2 South Korean soldiers near the demilitarized zone. For the first time since the high-level talks, the North Korean leader hailed the inter-Korean agreement, calling it a landmark occasion that diffused military tensions and paved the way for improved bilateral ties. Kim also praised the military's muscle and said it was the North's nuclear deterrent force for self-defense that helped achieve peace on the Korean peninsula. Kim also ordered swift restoration take place in Nasan to deal with flood damage by the 70th anniversary of the founding of the North's ruling Workers' Party in October. The flood killed 40 people, damaging hospitals and schools in Nasan, one of North Korea's economic development zones. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
South Korea has offered to hold working-level talks with North Korea next month to discuss their planned round of reunions for war-separated families. The Unification Ministry says the South Korean Red Cross proposed to hold the meeting on September 7th on the South Korean side of the border village of Panmunjom. The proposal follows a landmark inter-Korean agreement earlier this week that includes holding a set of family reunions in time for Chuseok, or the Korean Thanksgiving holiday that falls at the end of next month. The planned reunion will be the first such event since February last year. President Park Geun-hye and Chinese President Xi Jinping are being urged to discuss the reunification of the two Koreas when they meet in Beijing next week for summit talks. In an article posted on the Project Syndicate website on Thursday, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Christopher Hill claimed North Korea is on the brink of collapse. He said South Korea and China should discuss the aftermath of the South's potential absorption of the North once it becomes unable to function. Hill, the former chief U.S. nuclear negotiator with North Korea, criticized Kim Jong-un, calling him a worse leader than his father and grandfather. Referring to North Korea's latest military standoff with South Korea, Hill said Kim Jong-un created a crisis for no apparent reason and gained little from it. Back here in South Korea, and a last-minute dispute over a multi-million-dollar budget item could force the cancellation of a full assembly session that was scheduled for today. The floor leader of the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy, Lee Jong-gul, said his party will boycott the session unless a subcommittee is formed to examine the issue. Now, Lee says over $700 million is allocated annually for, quote, special activities, and the expense details are classified. The MPAD is calling for the expenses to be scrutinized. The ruling New Party says more than half of those funds go to the nation's intelligence agency, and exceptions are made as a matter of confidentiality. The parties have planned to hold a full assembly today to approve the government's budget settlement for last year and to vote on a Supreme Court justice nominee. Korea's ruling party plans to bring in FTA-related bills at the National Assembly early next week to push ahead with their ratification. Saenuri Party lawmaker Nak Young-hwan says, who is also the chairman, of the Parliamentary Foreign Affairs and Unification Committee, sent a notice to all party committee members on Thursday. She said a committee plenary meeting would be held next Monday to obtain their signatures, calling for the passage of 5 FTA-related bills, including the bill on the ratification of the Korea-China FTA. She asked all party committee members to attend the meeting. The US economy appears to be getting back on track as its GDP estimate for the second quarter jumped almost 1.5 percentage points to 3.7%. It came as a welcome surprise too, exceeding earlier predictions by the government and economists. The spike came on the back of an increase in personal consumption expenditures, which accounts for more than 2/3 of economic activity in the US, and a rise in government spending and exports. Eyes are now fixed on whether the Federal Reserve will raise rates from near zero next month. On Thursday, a senior Fed official said it was time to talk about normalization. She added that there was no need to overreact to the recent volatility stemming from China's market rout. Now, Korea's top automaker Hyundai Motor Group is losing ground in the lucrative Chinese auto market due to competition from local brands. And the Korean firm isn't the only automaker suffering either. Shin Se-min reports.
Despite the steep decline of Chinese stocks driven by the slowing economy, its local automakers are all smiles, enjoying robust sales. Chinese local automakers have put Korea's top auto brand Hyundai Motor Group to the test. Looking at the figures, Chinese manufacturer Chang'an Automobile Company sold 446,000 units, experiencing over 53% of growth in the first 7 months of this year. China's largest SUV maker, the Great Wall Motors, posted an on-year growth of 31% to over 390,000 units during the stated period. That's over 16% and 8% on-year growth for Chang'an and the Great Wall Motors for the month of July, respectively. In contrast, Korea's Hyundai Motor in the Chinese auto market saw sales drop nearly 11% in the January to July period, while its sister company, Kia Motors, saw over 6% on-year drop in its sales. The firms accounted for a total of 7.5% market share, below the 10% share recorded in May. Korean automakers aren't the only companies taking a hit in the Chinese market. Last month, sales of Germany's Volkswagen Group declined nearly 30% on year, with Shanghai General Motors Company also seeing a drop of 24%. Industry officials say it all boils down to cheaper prices, with Chinese automakers turning out cheaper prices at less than half the price of its foreign competitors. Experts say it's becoming much more difficult to win over Chinese drivers, with most looking for ways to cut spending due to the sluggish domestic economic growth. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
The Korean capital has been a hive of activity, with people buying and selling homes in recent months. Figures released on Friday show a record number of real estate transactions have been reported every single month since the start of the year. The Seoul Real Estate Information Office says each month has smashed previous records for property transactions, and this hasn't been seen since such data began being compiled back in 2006. The number of transactions in August so far has reached almost 9,500, already passing the previous August record of 8,300 that was set back in 2009. The office has attributed the boom to a decline in people renting and an increase of those opting to buy instead. Experts say the steady rise in property prices and an increase in supply of new apartments have made purchasing a more attractive option. 17 brand new innovation centres are now up and running around Korea as part of the government's drive to foster a more creative economy. A special festival is currently being held to highlight the centre's support for startups, as well as their many other achievements made thus far. Kim Min-ji reports.
Turning ideas into reality has been a key role of the nation's innovation centers. And this company has come up with the world's first smartwatch for the visually impaired, which make up about 285 million of the world's population.
And you get data from the messages, but the only difference is it has a surface with the braille, so you can read any data in your fingers.
If this is not impressive enough, then how about a conductive material that can heat up water almost instantly?
This coating material uses transparent conductive technology to heat up water to 500 degrees Celsius instantly. Water heaters usually need a separate tank to store hot water and have many technical problems. This technology scraps those concerns, and it can be used in various areas, from households to industrial sectors.
The festival offers a sneak peek into how creative economy innovation centers have been supporting startups and gives companies an opportunity to showcase their ideas that only existed on paper until now. Innovation centers have been the core of President Baek's drive for a creative economy, aimed at turning creative ideas into real business opportunities to create new jobs and industries.
이제 17개 혁신센터가 본격적으로 가동됨에 따라서 혁신센터의 크고 작은 성과들이 우리 경제의 새로운 성장 모멘텀이 되어서 대한민국 전역에 창조 경제의 불꽃으로 활활 타오르기를 기대합니다.
The centers have so far supported some 530 small and medium-sized venture companies, attracting nearly $27 million in investment and creating sales of over $15 million. 김민지, Arirang News, Daejeon.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has secured support from his ruling Liberal Democratic Party members ahead of its leadership election set for next month. Key factions within the party are known to have decided to support Abe to be re-elected leader, including a faction led by Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida, which expressed its support at a plenary meeting on Thursday. The Foreign Minister said the Japanese government and the ruling party will be in trouble if pending parliamentary bills are not dealt with properly, stressing the need to support Abe. The party will hold the leadership election on September 20th. Facebook hit the unprecedented benchmark of 1 billion users in a single day on Monday. Mark Zuckerberg, co-founder and CEO, made the announcement on his personal Facebook page on Thursday, quantifying the milestone by saying that it meant around 1 in 7 people on Earth used Facebook on that day to connect with their friends and family. Facebook has nearly 1.5 billion unique users who log in at least once a month, but this was the most in a single 24-hour period. Zuckerberg predicted that Facebook's reach will continue to grow and that it's just the beginning of connecting the whole world. In July, the world's largest social media site claimed that over half of the world's online users visited the site at least once a month. Up to 50 migrants have been found dead in the back of a lorry just over the Austrian border with Hungary. Police say the people were probably dead before they even made it into Austria. The grim discovery came as European leaders were meeting in Vienna for a summit focusing on migration. Son Jong-in has more.
A refrigerated truck sat abandoned on the side of a highway in the northeast of Austria, which links Budapest in Hungary to the Austrian capital, Vienna. When police opened the back of the truck, they found decomposing bodies of at least 20 and possibly up to 50 migrants stacked inside. Working in collaboration with Hungarian authorities, Austrian police have launched a cross-border hunt for the missing driver and those responsible for the deaths.
The truck had Hungarian license plates, so it is possible that they crossed through Hungary, or at least the people smugglers were Hungarians.
Authorities say the state of the decomposed bodies suggests the migrants could have been dead for several days, making the task of establishing the identity and exact number of dead difficult. In response to the horrific discovery, the Hungarian government criticized the European Union's inability to stem the wave of refugees flowing through the Balkan states. The EU fired back, saying the blame lies with the member nations on the front line of the crisis.
One day to the other, but the road we can follow to start making things work is very well known.
The gruesome find came as Austria hosted the Balkan summit in Vienna aimed at tackling the migrant crisis. German Chancellor Angela Merkel called on EU leaders to take speedy action to alleviate the problem.
This reminds us that we must tackle quickly the issue of immigration and in a European spirit. That means in a spirit of solidarity and to find solutions.
Over the past few days, tens of thousands of migrants, mainly from the Middle East and Africa, have passed through Greece into the Balkans and towards Western Europe. 손정인, Arirang News.
Well, those are stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check our website, arirang.com/news. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.